Welcome to the Private Practice Journeys podcast, where mental health professionals learn about the nuts and bolts of private practice by listening to the journeys of 4 therapists that have taken the plunge into private practice. And here's your host, Chris Quarto.
Hi, everyone. I'm Chris Quarto, and welcome again to the Private Practice Journeys podcast. I'm glad that you're listening to this podcast series. It's wonderful to listen to these 4 therapists who are taking the plunge into private practice. I'm interviewing them once a month throughout the course of 2017, just to be able to provide you with the inside scoop. I know a lot of you who listen are also members of the Private Practice Journeys Facebook community, and if you aren't, please join. It's a wonderful way to keep track of what's going on with these therapists, as well as talking about your own interest in starting a private practice. So this week, it's going to be Lisa Dewey's turn to talk about her plunge, and let's see what Lisa had to say. Hi, everyone. This is Chris Quarto, and welcome again to Private Practice Journeys. Today, I'm pleased to interview our 3rd therapist, Lisa Dewey. And Lisa, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Right. So what I've done with the other therapists is I've asked them to share a little bit with the Journey followers about who they are and what they do for a living. So let's hear about you, Lisa.
Sure. I'm an LCSW, and I have a couple of substance abuse certifications. Currently, and for most of my career, I have been in administration as the primary job. I work as a clinical director for a community service board in Virginia, which is a public agency that provides behavioral and mental health treatment. I have a part-time private practice, which will be full-time.
All right.
I primarily focus with juveniles. I have a background in probation and parole, substance abuse, behavioral disorders, co-parenting, and also do trauma work with EMDR.
Wonderful. And Lisa, how long have you been doing the part-time private practice?
Officially December of last year.
Okay.
So 2 months.
All right. And I want to talk a little bit more about that. But before we even get into that, I want to talk a little bit more about you and just kind of how you got interested in going into the helping profession. And then we can talk a little bit about why private practice part-time, and then why you thought that full-time might be a good thing. So let's hear about your story, Lisa, about why you decided to go into the helping profession.
Sure. I had gone to school, gotten a bachelor's degree in criminal justice, was set on being a probation officer, and did achieve that goal, became a probation officer for juveniles, but it was funny, I was always that probation officer that spent a little bit more time with the kids doing counseling than, putting the hammer down.
Right.
So I had a supervisor kind of point that out to me, and I kind of said, well, maybe I'm a therapist, maybe I'm a counselor.
Sure.
So I went back and got my MSW and then my LCSW. So I was kind of halfway in there, but then I think decided to kind of jump in with that.
Okay.
So
a lot of people who listen to the podcast, we have graduate students and students even who are thinking of going to graduate school. And sometimes it's hard for them to decide, shall I go the counseling route, the social work route, the psychology route? What made you decide to go the social work route?
I just, at that time, really just liked the whole licensed clinical social worker field, the feel of the way that the social worker, we work a little bit more with systems.
Yes.
I thought, and I think, as a young probation officer, kind of probably came in contact with some other social workers that I was just like, kind of, you look at them and you say, I want to do that. And then you find out what that was. And then I think that was clinical social work.
Right.
Yeah.
And Okay. So you've been in this administrative role for several years, I think, and
Yes.
and you said that for private practice, you decided that perhaps you wanted to do this, and you've been in it for part-time private practice for a couple of months right now. So what attracted you to private practice, and why did you think that now was the right time to consider doing that?
I think it was many things happening at the same time. The administrative role that I'm in has some some challenges.
All right.
At the same time, in deciding what to do and deciding just how to do it, I'll put it out there. I went to therapy and just kind of looked at, what it is I wanted to do. Had some, friends kind of say to me, look, if you want to do this, you need to do it.
Right.
And I always said, I am going to do it later. After I do this, after I make director, after I do that.
Right.
And then I realized, well, why not now? There's just a different kind of, I don't know if you want to call it pushes one way or, maybe premonitions or opportunities knocking or, just a different thing where I would put it out there and get affirmations to do it. And then at the very same time, a very critical decision was made for me. I know therapists that want to go into private practice struggle with trying to find an office.
Right.
And I pretty much had an office handed to me.
Oh, wow.
And that was that was just like that was it. I had my friend that was in a group practice that was not satisfied and just decided to jump. And she said, hey, I have an office for you.
Oh,
and that
man.
was it. And so that was it, and
I bet,
I get to work with my best friend every day.
I bet people who are listening to this right now are thinking, how did she get that kind of a deal?
Well, I still have to pay rent. But, I don't know. I think I'm a spiritual person. And what I would say is I think when it's right, I think you do get confirmation. And I think sometimes that when it's right, it's not that it's easy, but it flows, and you get your questions answered, and you kind of get pushed.
Right.
Not pushed, but, get put in that right direction.
Yeah, nudged, yeah.
Nudged, yeah.
Sure. Well, what do you think, kind of looking at this now, so you've made this decision to do the part-time private practice at this point, and what kind of personal or professional advantages do you think that private practice is going to offer to you?
I do. What I am looking forward to doing is having more control over my own schedule.
All right.
Being able to work how I want, when I want, and with who I want. And the other thing, and I thought about this, is that nobody's going to dictate to me how much money I want to make anymore. I can dictate that to myself.
Sure.
Where somebody would pay me a salary, whatever it is, and now I can say, well, this is what I want to make, and this is how I have to get there. Not that that's the most thing, but that's important.
Sure it is.
Yeah, and so and the other thing is, I think really following, for me personally, I think it's really following my heart. I explained it to somebody the other day. It's like it's the difference between existing and living. The administrative job was just fine. It paid the bills. There's a lot of great things. I love being a supervisor, and building teams and everything like that. But I get, like, my soul shakes when I do therapy. That's the difference.
Right.
I get emotional, but anyway.
Oh, sure. Well, I think that really says a lot about you, though, that this is a passion. It sounds like that.
Yeah, very much so.
And that this is a really good. It sounds like this is a really good career choice for you. And the things that you're going to be getting out of this primarily are, well, autonomy. That's going to be a big thing right there. More flexibility. And just really having more of a say in how things work out work-wise. And I think those are all very important things, and you add on top of that you have a passion for doing this.
Yeah, and I think that people look for that in doing private practice. I think
Yeah.
There is that entrepreneurial spirit for sure.
Exactly. Well, what do you think the challenge is going to be for you from transitioning from more of that administrative role into this role of private practice? What do you see as some of the challenges of making that kind of a transition, Lisa?
Well, I think for one, the obvious is the business, learning to do the business, learning how to get paid a little differently, how to work differently.
Yeah.
That's big. So we've had to overhaul, just different expectations, clinically. And I always thought that supervision is clinical. The program administration that we do is clinical,
Right.
Because we manage mental health programs. But then to switch it over to that one-on-one with someone, it's challenging. And you think, yesterday I had a session, I was like, what am I going to do with this lady?
Uh-huh.
I have no idea. And then I'm like, I got to learn, I have to read. And so it's, I'm going to learn what to do with her.
Yeah.
And, the process is going to be fine, taking the advice that I give her, which is to trust the process. And I said, okay,
Right.
do it too.
Yeah. I think that's a good phrase, trusting the process, because I teach in a professional counseling program here in Tennessee, and we have a lot of students who experience that same sort of thing, like what if I don't know what to say, or what am I supposed to
Right.
do, or trust the process. That's really, it's a mantra, really. I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
Well, looking at some of the preparation that goes into preparing to do this, making the transition, what are some of the preparations that you've made or are making in going into private practice?
Well, I had to. I have done everything from square one myself.
All right.
So I have got my LLC, did my own credentialing, and so it's like my baby. And I think, the transition is letting it fly or letting it walk, I guess.
Uh-huh.
Learning how to, work a little differently, learning to market. I've since I do program administration, I've done a lot of marketing for everybody else,
Right,
and learning
right.
that it is on me now. And learning that I have to be very, very goal directed, and almost learning to not and to kind of wake up every day with that sense of urgency. Like, what can I do today to grow? Instead of going to work.
Yeah.
Taking lunch at 12, that every day is going to be a little different.
That's true.
And some days are going to be good, and some days are going to be great, and some days are not going to be so good.
It's got to be a little scary, though.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Because I've talked to the other three therapists. I talked to, I've only talked to two, to Amanda and Cindy, and they've kind of expressed trepidation and anxieties, and I imagine there's probably a lot of thoughts that go through your head, a lot of emotions that you experience when you're going into private practice and actually doing this. So talk about what this has been like for you, Lisa.
So emotionally, I'll have moments even now. Tomorrow, I am going to make it official, my leaving official. That tomorrow's the day.
Okay.
And even up till today, I'm like, oh my gosh, can I really do this? Can I really walk in there and sit down and say, I have a business?
What do you think the
which is
reaction?
awesome.
What do you think the reaction's going to be? Any guesses?
I think she may know already, because she said to me that she thinks I'm leaving, and I just pull it off, blow it off. But even to hear myself say, Lisa, you are a business owner.
Yeah.
You have your own business, and to think, I opened up a business in 2016,
Right.
thinking that from the beginning to the end, I would have never done that. And so then I get through moments of, what if nobody shows up? What if somebody comes for one session,
Right.
and then they figure out that I'm a fraud, the imposter syndrome thing?
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
What if I can't do this? What if I can't figure out how to help this lady?
There's a lot of what ifs, aren't there?
What if? And so from the administrative point of being a city employee where, the paycheck comes,
Yeah. Exactly. Well, it's almost like you have to develop a new identity, right? When you go into private practice, because you said, I'm a business owner. So
I'm a business owner,
and you've never really had to think of yourself that way in the past, but now all of this has come into a reality, and all those feelings kind of get the best of you at times.
They do. They're very scary, and I have at various points over the past 4 months thought about, I think there was a point where I would say to myself, you can get out of it.
Uh-huh.
You can get out of this. You don't have to. You just have an LLC. You just have a couple contracts with insurance companies.
Right.
You can get out of it.
Uh-huh.
And I think when I signed my lease, that's when I said, yep, can't happen now.
Uh-huh.
Plus your friend would be really mad at you. So, we can't have that.
Exactly.
So I think at some point you just have to jump.
Mm-hmm.
You just jump, but it's very scary. It is very scary.
Well, it's the unknown, isn't it? That
yeah.
You're not really sure what's going to happen or how successful you're going to be, and you don't really have much to go on. I mean, you might know people who are in private practice and talk to people like that, but it's you, and you don't really know what's going to happen. So it's there are a lot of unknowns out there.
There definitely are, and you hear stories of people, just smart people, really smart people, just not doing what they need to do, or for whatever reason having some bad luck.
Yes.
And you think, you're one, what if everybody just starts not coming?
Mm-hmm.
Then what? Then I'm like, well, then you just go get a job.
Yeah. Or did you ever think of the opposite? What if a lot of people start coming and I can't handle them all?
Yes, I have. It's like I'm one person, and I'm a person that my background is a lot of administrative work. So I have decided, at least for the foreseeable future, that I am a one-woman show.
Uh-huh.
So I am doing my own billing. I am doing everything for me. It's me.
Sure.
And so I think just, even the couple weeks that I've been open, oh, man, you got to call the lady back and get her date of birth, or, because you're not going to be able to check the insurance and all this other stuff.
Right.
And, it's just the small things, but you just have to learn, and, you pick it up and you move on. Now I get everybody's date of birth.
Yes, exactly. Well, you and I are alike, Lisa, because I'm kind of the one-man show over here in Murfreesboro, and it's sort of the same thing. Where calling the insurance companies, verifying benefits, just all that, taking the calls, all that kind of stuff. So I certainly understand where you are, and I think there's a lot to be said about doing that. I think it's a good way of learning the business, really.
Yeah, and I wanted to do it because I do want to eventually do a group practice.
Yeah.
And, I have some visions, and I thought, how am I going to learn? Because I'm going to have to teach somebody how I want it done.
Right.
So I have to do it.
That's exactly right. Well, and the advantage that you have is that you have all that administrative experience. So when it comes time for you to do the group practice, I mean, you'll have all those skills that a lot of people don't have. So that's really exciting to hear that.
Yeah, it's, I think, a blessing, definitely a blessing.
Well, Lisa,
And a curse.
What are some words of wisdom that you'd pass along to therapists who are, might be thinking about going into private practice, or, maybe graduate students who have that kind of an interest or thinking about that? Any words of wisdom that you can pass along?
I think the biggest thing that I learned is that you just, if you have a goal, it is never too late. I think you trust your gut, but you always say, follow your heart, but engage your brain.
Yes.
So I think when I was still in the you look at De Clemente, and when I was still in the, pre-contemplation, I just tried to learn as much as I could. I was a stalker on all of those Facebook groups and reading and reading, and now I'm like asking all the questions.
Right.
But learning and I knew a little bit about outpatient from managing outpatient and how group practices functioned, and I actually had somebody say to me, why would you give somebody a percentage of your income when you can keep it?
Right.
And so I just always looked like that. And so learn and understand that you can do this. If that dream doesn't go away, like for me, it didn't go away. I always said, later I'm going to do it. Then that's a big sign.
Yeah.
That you probably need to be doing something.
Right. Exactly. That's good stuff right there.
Yeah.
Well, if a client wants to contact you, is there a way for them to do that? To any website you have, or Psychology Today profile, or how could a client get a hold of you?
Oh, sure. I do have a Psychology Today profile. My name is a little bit of an enigma.
All right.
It's a French name, and the French like to put letters on there but don't even really say them. So my last name is Lisa, just like you would spell it, but then it's Duez. And so I have lisadewey.com, and I'm on Psychology Today,
All right.
and they can contact me that way.
Wonderful. Okay. Well, Lisa, I really appreciate you coming on the podcast today and introducing yourself to the Journey followers. I think it's going to be a real neat experience, and I think that I really appreciate you and Cindy and Amanda and Debbie doing this, because I really see this as a service to the profession. It's really a commitment on the part of the four of you to do this on a monthly basis, and just really to expose yourselves to listeners, because they're going to be hearing the ups and the downs of your journeys in private practice. And so I really appreciate you guys doing this and participating.
Oh, I'm happy to help. This is not something that we are taught in graduate school, and I think it's really important. And I think it's it's one of the ways that the field is growing.
Yes.
So I'm happy to help and honored that you chose me.
Wonderful. Well, thanks so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, another great episode, this time with Lisa. And I tell you, as I was listening to that, I was thinking, if I were in her shoes, I'd probably feel nervous too, because it's been a while since she's been in a clinical setting, and now kind of going full time at this, and leaving a job that she's had in an administrator role for many years. And this is exciting, but at the same time, it's probably a little bit nerve-wracking. But it's so nice to listen to these therapists who have such positive attitudes and who have faith in themselves that, what, I'm going to do this, and this is going to work. So I love the positive spirit that these therapists exude. Well, if you would like to get the show notes for today's episode, please visit my website, chrisquarto.com. And also, I have a special something for you guys. If you go there today, I have a special free giveaway that might help if you are in need of having to check with insurance companies to verify insurance benefits. I have a little form and videos that go along with it that kind of explain the process that I use when clients call me to schedule an appointment, and the types of information that I get, and how I contact insurance companies, what I ask for, and all that kind of stuff. So if you go to get the show notes today, you'll also get that free if you'd like it. Okay, so thanks again for listening, and I hope that you join the Private Practice Journeys Facebook community if you haven't already. And if you have, I'll see you there.